As the countdown goes down, and we will get to zero and get things rolling here on this late edition, late today. Do apologize. We had a little issues connecting the dots. Well, we'll roll a baseball's best mate in three, two, and you know what? Let's go one.
It's Talking Baseball Australia. It's baseball updates you'll really love. The MLB and ABL news you want. With Paul Morgan and Dan Vaughn. It's baseball's best mate all year round. From the batter's box to the mound.
There we go. My apologies again, a little late here. And you folks that are watching live, there's probably not many of you left now because you've gone about your business. But you folks that are on the podcast side, I'm glad you're along. We can always check the audio to make sure we're rolling here. That's always a good thing. A good thing. Hopefully a good thing. And there we go. There we go. Do hear myself. Glad you're along. Baseball's best mate. Paul will be with you in a moment. Hey, how you doing there, mate? Good as we just to pull the curtain back. The reason we're late, we were normal time, which was 8 a.m. in Perth, and then you go other direction. We're having a little trouble getting. We're able to do the interview, but we can't. It's just a connect the dots issue, okay? And we've had it last week as well, and we're going to work on that for Boxing Day, which will be our next show. But let's dive into the week that was and really what's coming up as Santa's making his way to around the globe about a week from now, and he'll be kicking up a beach sand there in Australia. And I just came back from northern Indiana yesterday, where it was already Santa already is ready to go. He's going to have a place to land a sleigh. It was snowing and all that. So, and now back in the warmer climate of Texas here. But glad you're along. You're a baseball's best mate. Don't have these shows are a little shorter now because it's a lot less going on with only the four teams, and that's sort of our theme here. On the show today, Paul's going to be along in a moment. We're going to jump in and look at a couple of themes. Just basic. Really, nothing changed last week. Your headlines pretty much are really Sydney doing what they do is sort of treading water. They did what they had to do. Perth did not get buried. Made a bit of a statement, I would think. Maybe the biggest statement of the week was that Perth went to Sydney and split that series. Of course, when you sweep a series on the road, you can do that. But they did make a statement. They did hang around, only 2 games back. We'll show those standings to in a moment, the ladder. Also, Adelaide's got help on the way. We're going to talk a bit about that in a moment with Paul. And then Brisbane, you know, they sort of made a statement too. I mean, they're hanging around. They've not won a series yet, which I'm still baffled by that. But yet they have a half game lead over Adelaide. They have a chance this weekend to perhaps make a statement as well. Nothing changed last week. That's the amazing part about the week is that with the splits, nothing changed. It was a really status quo weekend, and we can start things off quickly. There's no this is all old news for you folks, but we will give it to you quickly here before I roll the standings up for you. But the scores from last week's round at number 5, as I had them up a moment ago. The opener in Sydney, 3-2. Tucker Smith, probably his best outing. He had a lot of good outings down the stretch last year, but it is his best of the year. Smith looked great. Alex Wells, hard luck loss. Warwick Suppold's having a really, Wells is having a turn back the clock. He has really become really that closer, probably I think right now the best closer in the ABL currently. And then the Friday night extravaganzas in Brisbane, 8-6 the winner for Brisbane over Adelaide. And then Brisbane on Adelaide on Friday as well. They had the double dip. I'm sorry, that was Thursday night. Pardon me. Got my nights confused there. Friday, it was Brisbane dropping game number the game 9-7 to Adelaide. I had them backwards here. Brisbane won game 1 on Thursday, 8-6. And then it was a 9-7 Adelaide win. Perth did get shut out 6-0. Landon Barassa A great story. He's a Canadian national, been a long time member of the Canadian national team, has done big time ace like work in the American Association, has been in Winnipeg a number of years. He was outstanding again. Probably right now, it will be the top ace going forward. We'll talk about that a little bit as well with Paul, with the change in Adelaide as well, with some comings and goings. Then Adelaide bounces back as a 13-1 win, and then they lose 13-5. It seems like Brisbane either gets in that series throttled or they throttle, right? And then they're close, nip and tuck, and then to wrap things up, Perth did win the blank Sydney 5-0, the double dip on Sunday. Uh, is doing what I'm really feeling like it's, I don't know, go back 5, 6 years all over again. And even back when Waza was back in the big leagues or even climbing the ladder with the Tigers, he would show up and be your closer about Christmas on, right? He would show up and be the shutdown guy for Perth going forward, really after Santa made his way to the West. But he's doing it all year this year. Congratulations to Sabhold Waza doing just great work. What's his number overall this year? 9 innings, 2 saves, allowing the 2 earned runs and 5 ball games. So good stuff right there. Baseball's best mate, Dan Vaughn with you. Paul standing by. Now, again, I mentioned we had the little issue with the connecting the dots here. Before we connect the dots, let's connect the ladder currently and how it looks this week. And here it is right there, as I will bring that down right there. There we are in the standings. Sydney 14-5. Then you've got Brisbane 9-10, Adelaide 8-10, and Perth 6-12. Really, barring Sydney getting lost on the way to the airport or the way to the ballpark, maybe just taking a weekend at the beach, perhaps. I mean, they're going to be fine. I mean, they're not going to finish 1 or 2, and we're going to be talking this time next week, most likely that Sydney will be looking to at least clinch a spot. I mean, the way the mathematics of it work, the right things happen. That'll be the case next week. Let me bring this down. Sorry about that. There we go. Let's bring this down as well. I don't know why I got all my screens up. There we go. And then again, Adelaide and Brisbane right now, nice half game battle. But remember, the top 2 teams make the postseason. Top 2 teams play with the Claxton Shield. The Heat are not out of it yet, but again, nothing changed last week. And now the sense of urgency, because now we're midway through the season, but Paul's going to tell you in a moment, he brings it up, it is getting late because suddenly, Sydney can be looking at, with one more week of a series win, can be counting down, okay, we're probably fine to just sort of go through the motions and probably going to clinch the number 1 seed. We're getting late, okay? For teams like Adelaide, let's get going. Let's get that 2 spot, because again, it's going to come down the last 3 weeks. Those 3 teams, way things look right now, because it looks like Brisbane, Adelaide, and Perth are also evenly matched. It's going to come down the final week who gets that 2nd spot. Baseball's best mate, behind the body of fall at Perth in the basement, but they did make a statement. They made a really good statement last week. And I mean, getting the series split in Sydney was a big deal. That was huge. And picking that up was huge. I mean, they if they lose that series, even they say 3-1, they're gonna be 8 behind the pace, 8.5 back, and they'll be 3 off the playoff pace. But status quo there, getting the split was huge. And again, they can get, and Paul was going to bring this up. I'm previewing this now in just a moment. He talks about Perth has got to get some traction at home in the West. They've got to make that place a tougher venue. It hasn't been. They've dropped their last 5 at home. So the split, they're going to get a series win. And we'll talk about that in just a moment here on Baseball's Best Mate. And we'll jump into that conversation with Paul Morgan. Let me bring the graphic down. You folks on the podcast, we're glad you're along too. Let's roll it. Here we go. Paul and I were able to connect just about an hour ago as he was sitting in the office in Perth. Love the view too. I need a view like this. Let's roll it. 3, 2, 1. Here we go. We got the Gremlins back-to-back weeks, but we do have back-to-back weeks. Paul Morgan, I don't know, we got to figure this out. We'll get it, but it all works out. But anyway, good morning to you. round six, and Merry Christmas and all that.
Yeah, with the old Santa coming down the chimney, but round six, it's been it's sort of I don't know, it's sort of round six, and I don't know. Normally we feel like it's round six, but we don't really feel like it's sort of round six, I guess. But it's an interesting year, but nonetheless, we'll continue to fight through, and 4 more weeks to go before the postseason.
Weird too because I just before you and I hooked up, I went back and thought, okay, what's the schedule for next week, knowing that it's Christmas and all that. I'm like, then I looked and going like, wait, I mean, we're like done in like third week of January. I'm like, I mean, this thing's
Yeah,
flying by. I know most of us do the whole uh the team thing, but I want to ask you first because we've kind of joked back and forth. I know some of the fans have as well. You know, it's a 2 team league or 4 team league. It makes it a lot easier to cover. Uh, is has it been that way for you? I mean, I just from your standpoint, it just seems very. Do you feel? I guess that's my question. Does it feel like we're just kind of rushing to get it done?
it does feel like, and I think, to be fair, I think it was probably marketed as that as well. Like it does feel like a bit of a stopgap year between, what they're doing next year, and I think for baseball fans, I think the one thing you've got to take is, the alternative was nothing. So, like the fact that we've got games is great. Like I don't think, as we've mentioned many times, I think everyone would want, 6 teams, not 6 or 8 teams, but sort of I think it's been earmarked as a stopgap year, and it's been earmarked as sort of something to get the guys an opportunity before the World Baseball Classic, and it's done what it was done what it said it would do on the box. I think, DV, and that's what it is. Has it been the most exciting season? No, I don't think anyone would sort of I don't think anyone would. Is 4 teams ideal? Again, no, and I don't think anyone would sort of go, boy, how good is it to have a 4 team league? But again, I think it's just important for us to keep keep the point of view of the alternative was nothing. And tonight, if you're in the West, or also tonight, if you're in Sydney, you get to go to the ballpark and watch a game of baseball. Or in Sydney, you get to watch them take the Giants on. In Perth, you get to watch them take on the Bandits, and that's the good news.
Yeah, it is the good news here on Baseball's Best Mate. Dan Vaughn, Paul Morgan with you here. And it's a placeholder thing, and that's kind of the way I've been thinking about it. I've not taken the stats as serious. I've not taken the standings I take serious, but I'm with you. I'm really looking forward to seeing what young player comes out of this mix for the next step of the national team. That's sort of what I'm thinking because I'm with
Yeah.
you. I mean, I don't. I mean, is this going to be a moneymaker this year? No. On a good year, it's a break-even proposition. I, the interest is down, the attendance is down, all the things we've talked about, but the placeholder there, if what comes out of it is the next star, at bats for the next star, or it helps the long-term goal of the national team while we place hold and we get something going momentum-wise. I know it's not a big win, but it's better than losing.
Yeah, and I think that's the way that you got to look at it in the World Baseball Classic, of course, coming up. That you've got to look at it that way, and an opportunity, and to kind of see baseball. But yeah, I think I think the one thing I would say, DV, and I think probably even us and other people as well. Um, yeah, I think the one thing is, like I think probably there's not a lot of energy behind it this season. I think that's one thing that has probably been, the most telling. And I know a lot of fans sort of, particularly the ones I've spoken to in the West, sort of, I think their worry is there's a lot of import players playing, which probably hasn't been the case as much. That you've probably had your more local core. So I think there's sort of, but I think also that unfortunately in sort of the hold season, there's probably been a little. I mean, we can just tell obviously by the crowd numbers. There's probably been a little bit of interest, not quite there, and but I think hopefully, and especially in Perth, it's beautiful weather today, as you might be able to see over my shoulder there, blue skies. Good day for good day for baseball, and yeah, and hopefully it'll be a great series again, between the Bandits and the Heat, and also up there in they're probably the top two favourites at the moment, Sydney and Adelaide, probably giving right now at the halfway point a preview of what a preview of what the championship series might look like in Blacktown.
Brisbane does have the half game lead currently as we go to round 6 over Adelaide, but that should shake out. Uh, really, last week, nothing really changed. Everything stayed to form. I mean, Perth didn't get buried. I think that's what the headline I take out of the Sydney series. They battled. I mean, after getting
Yep.
swept at home, you go to Sydney, you battle, you split. You could have been buried. You're still hanging around. You're still at the bottom of the ladder, but you're hanging around. What'd you make of that series of Perth and Sydney? If I'm a Sydney fan, I'm a little kind of like, we got the sweep, but we could have really buried them with a win at home in a series. That was a missed opportunity, I think.
Yeah, spot on. I think it was a missed opportunity, but I did think, I think it said on the show last week, I thought that the Heat would get a split in that series. I did feel like they were probably better than. I think that sort of, I did think it. I said it again. I think that sort of carry on by Sydney sort of lit a fuse behind them after they brought the brooms out on the field after sweeping him, and like I think Tucker Smith did an incredible job. That they Grosjean, who is I think an Adelaide local club ball player, sort of filled a hole with Lozovoy, who'd been a two-starter, had come in to play a little club ball. But unfortunately, Lozovoy, you'll love this because I was at the game, DV. It was a UWA versus South Perth club ball game. Lozovoy was going to play for those South Perth Cubs, but it was about 41, 42 degrees or something at one point, which is 100 and something. And it was horrendous. It was hot. It was humid. The State League Reserves team had a couple of players, sick on the field because it was so just unbelievably hot. And then this hell of a storm came through, lightning, rain pouring, and washed the game away. So we didn't get to see Lozovoy pitch for the Cubs, but yeah, so I think it'll be interesting there. But Sydney still they're doing what they need to do, and yeah, it's as I say, it's funny now, DV. It's sort of it's getting late all of a sudden. It's getting late, and really there's 4 series left, and I think the big part for the 4 series is and I think as you said before, can someone who I know the 36-man World Baseball Classic roster is already submitted, but can someone just go, you know what, that's my spot in the national team. That's my spot, and I think that's the big win. I think, DV, and that's the one thing we want to see in the last four games is who can take that, who can kind of just go, you know what, first base is mine, shortstop's mine, second base is mine. That's the big thing.
Best mate Dan Vaughn and Paul Morgan with you. Again, Adelaide and Brisbane. I mean, nothing changed there. They still have the half game deficit. It looks like it's a battle for second at the moment, but you're right. Only 4 weeks left. It's getting late now. Everything changes now. Brisbane going west. Let's start off Sydney and Adelaide. Your thoughts on that series this weekend? Sydney's in a situation with 4 weeks left. They just do their business, and that's sort of just do what they've done. They're going to be fine.
Yeah, and I think they will. I think they'll win this series as well. Sydney probably 3-1 is my prediction in this one, and you're spot on. Even if they split, they're probably fine. I mean, I think they've built up that lead now where they're certainly in the driver's seat for this season. So I think they're a good ball club. I expect them to win that series, but and they should win the Claxton Shield. Really, Sydney at this point in time. I think they've got I think. They've got, I think, the best team in the league. They've got their offense is working. Their pitching is going pretty well. They're the most consistent team. Albeit Adelaide obviously lose a few and gain a few. That with Robbie Glendenning and whatnot. So I think it'll be interesting. It was, and
yeah,
obviously
they also lost Connor Green's heading over to play in the Dominican Winter League, a very prestigious winter ball league over in the Dominican Republic. I think Lachlan Wells, did he get also got shut down the remainder of the season? But they are going to get some help. They are getting a little help. You mentioned Robbie Glendenning is coming in, so that's going to be a headliner. I mean, he's speaking of national team, he's a national team star right there. Josh Hendrickson, who played over in the American Association, also comes back over. Mitch Noonmore also coming back. There's pieces there that are coming back. I'm with you. I'm very much with you that I think that those pieces, Sydney right now is just got to kind of tread water. Adelaide can hold on until the reinforcements come. I think they will pass Brisbane, but boy, Brisbane's got a real good chance this weekend. They can win a series out west. Can they do that? Froze there. I think I lost Paulie there. There we go. Ouch! I was saying part. I don't. Ouch! I was saying part. I don't. Brisbane heading
Yeah,
west. How do you see
yeah,
that one? Sorry about that.
yep. Yeah, no, I think they'll look. I think they'll be just looking. I think the same. I think they'll play percentage baseball now. I think that if they can kind of go, okay, if we can win tonight and we can win Saturday and split the series, we'll kind of assume that Adelaide are going to split the series and we'll be okay, take care of our business. But like I do think the Heat. I mean, the Heat have had real struggles at home. I mean, let's face it. So they're due for a good series at home. I think the crowd will be really good on Saturday at least. I think, I believe there might be 1,000 pre-sold tickets to that game already, which would be,
Right.
then add a 5 or 600 more in walk up. So there should be a decent crowd there. And I think it'll be an interesting. I think that series will be a split as well. So I'm going to go for my predictions before I have to jump off and
Yep.
head to a meeting. I'm going to go heat with a split, and I'm going to go both splits. I'm going to go boring this week. I'm going to go
Yeah.
split in Sydney, split and split.
Last week I tried to be cute and I wind up getting split, so I'm going to just take the easier route and go split with as well. Hey, I'll let you go. Before I do let you go, I want to ask you this one question here. Uh, do you think this weekend we might see a bump because of the holiday? People get a little time off. I'm just saying,
Should be,
it
yeah,
should be
yeah.
right.
I think majority of if your school hasn't already been on holidays, school holidays start this week for some of them, but most kids are on holidays now. So I would think if you don't, if I would be sounding alarm bells if the crowds went okay this weekend. I think that would win it. But I'd sort of think, tonight I think it's hard. I think the 6 o'clock start is a little tricky for a lot of people, but actually I think it might
7 o'clock start, I believe. 7 o'clock start
be a
tonight, I
little bit
think.
tricky, but
Yeah.
we'll
Hey,
see.
well, I'll let you
Yeah,
go.
okay,
You
so
got a meeting to go
they
to,
pushed that back. So it was six
and
o'clock Thursday, but yeah,
I will
yep,
see you on Boxing Day
sounds good.
next
See
week,
you on
my
the
friend. We'll see you on the broadcast tonight.
That's good. See you, bud. Yeah.
Here he is. Paul Morgan joining us there from Perth. And a few things here on Baseball's Best Mate. Dan Vaughn with you, as Paul had go to a meeting. And again, we are a little late because of the crossing the wires and this. I don't know. We'll figure it out. We'll get it. You know us. We've done it for 14 years now. We'll figure it out. Uh, that he and I talked about here on Baseball's Best. I want to just kind of go back over real quickly here. The more I've thought about this year, the more I've thought about where we're at as a game in Australia, and really, and I started thinking about how we're going about our business as a show. How we've things sort of sucks, right? I mean, even for me, I've usually by now got travel plans made, know what I'm going to be doing. It sort of seems like this year's sort of a holding pattern for a lot of reasons. The game must go on. It has gone on, but I definitely feel that way. He feels that way. He and I both felt that way. The energy thing, but at the same time, there are a lot of negative little things we've talked about, and we're gonna die again. I keep talking about this. We're gonna try to fix what we can fix, suggestion wise, but it feels like a stopgap. The more I thought about it the last few days, it feels like we've kind of put okay, a temporary. It's like I'm trying to think of a great example in sport, but there was a year the American Association, for example, had to went down to 11 teams. They had to have a temporary team play, kind of stopgap to balance things out until another team came in, got the ballpark sorted, and all that. There's been those things before. You've had situations where you have a temporary situation that's sort of to get you from point A to point C. You got a stopgap point B, right? And that's where we're at. And I think Paul really summed it up perfectly that that's where we're at. I mean, we're really in that situation. Number two, you know, having games is great. We said that. We said that our first night. The first night we were on the air, we said that very same thing. Having games was at the end of the day the most important thing. And I mentioned this before. One of the advantages of only having four teams is it makes it easier for us to cover four teams. And I think and I know for me it has done this. I think for I would love to hear what Eric Balinar, for example, would say. Uh, has it made the routine in the focus even more so than maybe you had before? And maybe gives us all really a different focus when we do get back to 6 or 8 or whatever it is. That we're in a habit of really diving. Because I think what Eric's done with the league, I think some of the league stuff's been the league previews has been a good. It's been as good as it's been in 9 years. 8 years. And when Paul and I used to do the league preview for the league on the website, we used to do a league post series report and a pre series report. We did those. And it hasn't been that way until the last couple of years. And Eric's done a great job. So I think pulling back a little bit has helped us focus to a degree. Now it doesn't mean you're got to really ramp your game up when you get to 6 to 8 again, right? But I get that feeling too. The lack of energy thing, the more when he said that, we could have dove into that. It's there. And I think that's probably where we're going to go a lot. And you're going to hear us talk a lot of this season about promotion, in-game presentation. Some of the things that we talked about over the years that Canberra did a great job of, that Melbourne's done a great job of. Some of the ballparks, Paul and I met and got our start together as a duo by being part of the ballpark experience back in 2012. And we sort of felt like that was the high watermark, and it was for the organization as far as engagement and all that. Uh, we sort of know a thing or two about that. So I would echo that. And I think, again, those are going to be plans in place to go forward. But that's something, okay, we can't do much about that, but we're going to have to do something about it. The energy's got to they got to pick it up. And it's been all the last couple of years, it has definitely lost some momentum energy wise. We got to get that back. Uh, the hot part was great. I did see a post. I forget who it was. One of my mates on social posted the umpire was wearing shorts at that South Perth game. He was talking about it was so hot, 42 degrees, 100 plus Fahrenheit. The umpire wasn't wearing the full umpire gear. He was wearing shorts and the shin guards over. It looks very much like a hot July afternoon at the ballpark in Sioux City when they're doing some early catching or early pitching and catching work. And rather than wear the uniform, the catchers are out there in shorts with shin guards over because it's so hot. So I get it, man. They got that. We have corn humidity in Iowa. And it gets really humid, and those guys are out there sweating in the middle of the day and getting extra work in. That's what the umpire looked like in the video I saw. So I get it, man. But yeah, it was hot, and that's tough. The one challenge we had, I think Alex chimed in there. One challenge we have is because your schedule's only a 4-day window. Every week you have 4-day series, and sometimes 4 games in 3 days. You don't have much room for error. And so when you wind up with a rainout or a postponement or delay, and we saw this, Paul and I did a broadcast in 2016 in Sydney after a long rain delay on a Saturday. We had a double dip that started early in the morning, like 10 a.m. local time. And by the time we played game two, it was the service of the sun. We've talked about that story many times, and it was brutal. I mean, it was bad. I mean, it was bad. It was bad. So anyway, and but the final thing that he brought up too that I want to echo, it's late, man. It's getting late. 4 weeks left. I mean, and that's why the urgency I talked about before we went to the interview was until that segment, the round preview segment was. I mean, if you're Perth, you got to get going now. You're Adelaide and Brisbane, you can make a statement. There's all these themes that I talked about in the opener there. Sydney status quo, Adelaide make their run, Brisbane hold them off. Can Perth get back in it? And they might only 2 games separate, 2.5 games separate those three teams. It's baseball's best mate. I'm Dan Vaughn. Paul Morgan with us a moment ago. A couple things too I want to get to just before we get out of here. We'll be back next week. So we're back on Boxing Day, which is when the series will commence with Christmas on Thursday this year. It's one of those years where we're to the point where it's a perfect situation to be able to go a little Boxing Day baseball next weekend. But we'll be back with that as well. And again, the one more thing too, I wanted to get to this, and I meant to Paul. I didn't get to it. Let me see if I can find. I had it up a moment ago. Um, if I can find it, I had it. Talk amongst yourselves, folks. Here, uh, I didn't want to get too much into this because of the fact that with 4 teams, it's sort of hard to make an all-star team. But the more I thought about it, the actual fact that you have an all-star team is not a it, it's pretty easy, right? I mean, it's pretty easy to name. I mean, it's no doubt that your all stars, the mid-season one. Now, granted, only 4 teams, but just quickly, the league mentioned that your starting pitcher Alex Wells and then Connor Green. Connor Green's going back to North America, playing in the Caribbean down in the Dominican Republic. I didn't even see who he's playing for. I should probably look that up. I know he's heading down that way. Uh, and Cooper Morgan, the righty as well in the mix. You've got Nick Ward, Joe Stevens, Pablo Nunez, Jalen Ray, DH, your Chili's Owen Cobb, Robbie Perkins, your catcher, who's, boy, Robbie, absolutely phenomenal year. Devin Saltimon, Alex Hall. By the way, Alex Hall, I don't know if you guys know this, is playing 3 spots now. He's that athletic. Outfield, which we saw him play some last year. First, we've seen him play that too. Catching, he's a really valuable piece. And that's a huge piece for the national team as well. Versatility is huge. It's huge. Uh, you see Ishizuka, Eric Raziak, and that rounds up your all-star team midseason. We'll have one, I'm sure. We'll have a baseball's best made all-star team to wrap things up. Did I have that right? Where was Green going? I don't have. I meant to look that up because I didn't look it up anyway. But he's heading, but going to the Caribe, and really. That's a big deal, and the reason that's a big deal, the Dominican Winter League is one where you're going to get, and it's much like Venezuela's the same way. A lot of major league talent, AAA talent, prospects that are from those countries play in those leagues. It's a really good proving ground for you. It's a great proving ground. You can go down there and perform in the Dominican in the winter ball. That's a big deal. I mean, that's a huge deal. Um, I mean, that's one of those things where you can be successful there. You've got something going on. I didn't see it anyway. I'll find that for you next week. But again, it doesn't matter where you pitch in the Dominican Winter League. Pitching down there is a big deal. So, baseball's best mate. We round third, head for home here. Back with you again. Of course, the podcast. You folks in the live show catch the podcast in a few moments. It'll be up in about 15 minutes or so, wherever you get your podcast. I want to close on a personal note because yes, Texas, North America, U.S., all that. Um, just want to say much love to our friends. As I always close our broadcast out about talking about love and treating people the way you want to be treated, and those things resonate with me. And seeing the tragedy that unfolded in Sydney um, just breaks my heart. Uh, it's one of the things that I've always loved about Australia is that that's not something that, that's a very something we've dealt with a lot over here in North America. And I know it was a punch in the guts to a lot of people over there. A lot of people are hurting. And I just want to tell you, I love you. And, the theme of love and compassion and just showing more love, that's resonates more than anything today as I sign off, because again, I sign off every time I broadcast in Sioux City the same way. And we're going to do it here today, but I think it means more today just from what happened over there. And I encourage us all to be better going forward. Let's just all love each other, be better. And, it's the finger pointing and all that. I mean, that maybe can wait another day. But I mean, the more important thing is to love your neighbor and love somebody next to you. Show more love. And I love you guys. And love the opposition. Be better fans. Let's be better people. Let's show more love tomorrow we did today going forward in 25 and soon to be 26. And hope your ABL round 6 is a great one. Hope your team does well. Catch the broadcast tonight on Baseball Plus. You guys get all that content as well. I'd encourage you to check it out, the broadcast. Or go to the ABL website. Big thanks to the Australian Baseball League. Eric and his crew there doing a great job, the media relations. My broadcast partner, Paul Morgan, with a great office view in Perth. this morning out west. And of course, you folks who took the time, whether it be for 30 seconds, the entire show, or downloading our podcast. Thank you. Thank you from the bottom of our heart. 14 years and counting here on Baseball's Best Mate. Again, show more love, everybody. Have a great weekend. Have a Merry Christmas to you, wherever you are worldwide, from here at Baseball's Best Mate, and from my wife and our family to you and yours and all you, a lot of you folks that tune in. I know you very well, and I am just wishing you the best, and we will see you after Santa comes down and comes down the chimney or the beach in most of y'all's cases next week. We'll see you next week on our show. Have a great weekend. We'll see you next time, everybody. Let's play the close if I can find it for us in 3, 2, 1. See you next time, everybody.
Buy me some peanuts and Cracker Jacks. I don't care if I ever get back Forest Root. Root, root for the puppy. If they don't win, it's a shame. For it's 1, 2, 3 strikes, you're out at the old ball game.
Let's get some runs!